anniversary because it doesn't finish till 3 and more time next Friday. And again at St. Joseph's maybe on Wednesday, or the Medjugorje again at another time, because this is very special in view of the fact that this priest, Father Prozepkovich, down here, you can take a picture of his itinerary, I suppose we call it, about his trip here on the 28th and the 29th of September for St. Michael, and he's bringing us holy oil, and this holy oil that he's bringing us is extraordinary. It is, no blessed oil is not ordinary or extraordinary, but this is very, very special. And I'll just read this to you about the Archangel Michael. In a ceremony held in the Vatican Gardens on Friday, July the 4th, 2013, Pope Francis, with Pope Benedict by his side, consecrated the Vatican to St. Michael the Archangel. The Pope suggested that this can be seen as an invitation to reflection and prayer, because Michael fights, Pope Francis said, Michael fights to re-establish divine justice. He defends the people of God from their enemies, especially the enemy par excellence, the devil himself. We as people of God must follow our Holy Father in earnestly calling on St. Michael to protect the Church and the whole world. Don't listen to people condemning the Pope. That's God's business. The Pope, leave the Pope to God. Pope Francis has been permitted on the throne by God himself for these times. And Pope Francis has done some wonderful things. Okay, he's done a few dicey things, or said a few things here and there, but all in all he's done some great things, and that's one of them about St. Michael, because St. Michael is for these times. And the story of Michael's cave, Monte Sant'Angelo, in the early centuries, I think it was 490, when a nobleman of the village lost the best bull. He had a bull in his herd, and the bull went missing. And he went searching for the bull, and guess what? He found the bull kneeling in a deserted cave. And the cave was inaccessible, and so in order to scare the bull out of the cave, the nobleman shot an arrow at the bull. But to his amazement, the arrow turned around back on him and struck him instead. He was stunned by this supernatural event, so much so that he went to see the bishop. And the bishop, uncertain of whether this was of divine origin or not, ordered 3 days of prayer and fasting. And St. Michael then appeared to the bishop. However, the bishop too had his doubts about the apparition, thinking he had probably dreamed it or imagined it. And within a few years, a city in the bishop's diocese was threatened with annihilation by pagans. And St. Michael appeared again to the bishop and promised that the city would be spared if the townspeople would attack the enemy in faith. And it was spared. And even after that, the bishop still had doubts. And he didn't build the church. Obviously, it was a request by St. Michael to build the church. He did not build the church on the side of the cave, but it was on his mind all the same. So the following year, on the anniversary of the apparition, he appealed to the Pope for guidance. And the Pope ordered the bishop, along with the other bishops and priests, to go to the cave for 3 days of prayer and fasting. Now, not wishing to go into the cave, the bishop prayed at the entrance. He wouldn't go in. And then on the 3rd day, St. Michael appeared to the bishop again. And you know what Michael said? He said, I am Michael, the Archangel. I am always in the presence of God. I chose the cave as sacred to me. There will be no more shedding of bull's blood. So that's probably what that nobleman was doing, which was not done at the time, killing bulls and shedding blood and all of this. So Michael is saying no more of this. Where the rocks open widely in this cave, the sins of men may be pardoned. What is asked in this cave here, in prayer, will be granted. Therefore, go up to the mountain cave and dedicate it to God. Told that to the bishop. And he ordered the bishop to go into the cave, telling him, it's not necessary now for you to consecrate the cave, because I have done so myself. And it is the only building, St. Michael's Cave, in the Catholic world that has been consecrated by a saint and not by a priest. This cave has become known as the Celestial Basilica. St. Michael's Cave is one of 7 sacred sites along on a map, if you imagine it, from Ireland to Wales. There are 7 sacred sites between Ireland and Israel. That's the story for another day. It's called the Sword of St. Michael, that particular alignment from Ireland right up to the Holy Land, Israel. And there are 7 sacred sites of that, and that alignment is called the Sword of St. Michael. And it's one of the cave is, because now it's a church, it's called the Basilica even. It's the holiest place in Christendom, one of the holiest places in Christendom. Now, the priest that's coming has a huge dedication to Michael, to St. Michael. And he's bringing this extraordinary oil. And actually, it was Fr Matthew Szerszen from Marki in Poland who has this to say. Father Matthew says, what is the holy oil of Michael, the Archangel? And he said, he was in the grotto, he was in the cave. In January this year, 2024, he was in the cave. He said, I looked up at the grotto. In front of me was a group of 700 people waiting to be anointed. It was January 2024. I was given the opportunity to consecrate the oil of St. Michael the Archangel. He was chosen, the priest, out of them all. He was chosen. So many centuries this oil has been blessed, but this priest, Father Matthew, was chosen on this occasion to consecrate the oil. And he said there was lots of small bottles spread out in baskets, and they were glowing with an unusual radiance. And I saw the same radiance in the eyes of the people who approached. And remember the words, in faith. So we have to have that faith when Father Peter comes, the other Polish priest, who's with Father Matthew. I saw the same radiance in the eyes of the people. In faith, they were asking for a few drops of oil. I prayed to the angel St. Michael, the angel of Gargano, they call him, that this new sign would awaken love and hope in people. I ask that trust in St. Michael's intercession would be rewarded with healing, liberation, and empowerment. This was the beginning, I said to myself, Father Matthew said, this was the beginning of a new form of worship that we now call the holy oil of St. Michael the Archangel. The efficacy and the composition of the fragrance. Surely God knows how to surprise us. Every time I pick up, Father Matthew says, every time I pick up a bottle of the oil, I look forward to seeing what it will do. At first, I only intended to use it in my retreat ministry. But when I saw how much interest there was in it, I began to ask others what they thought about spreading the idea of blessing, consecrating the oil in honour of Michael. This is back in his home place. It turned out that many people were waiting for this new sign Prince of the Angels, Michael. Even then, at the shrine, the cave, the blessing of the oil still attracts crowds. Everyone wants to know the composition, the beautiful fragrance the oil attracts. The beautiful fragrance, the meaning, and above all, the efficacy of this form of devotion. A few months ago, in an article in our magazine, they had a magazine called The Angels. I've seen it around, it's on the internet as well. They will have that magazine here. Father will bring that with them, with the holy oil. He said there was in the magazine some time ago, we wrote a biblical and historical context of the anointing with oil. And he didn't know whether it was necessary or not, whether we should anoint oil or not. And he sent a request for approval to the bishop. He asked the bishop could he give him a prayer. Father Matthew wanted a prayer that he could bless consecrate oil, and the bishop gave it to him. And that's the prayer, it's on the internet, that Father Matthew uses to consecrate the oil, and every priest should use for Holy Michael's oil. I won't go into much more now because we haven't got the time, and Monsignor wants to say a few words. All I say to you is this: take a photograph of that itinerary of Father Peter Crucifix. 28th and 29th. 28th in the evening after the vigil, Saturday evening Mass, and on the Sunday after the 11 a.m. Mass, you can come here with your friends and your family. There, he will be anointing, he will be blessing, we will be venerating relics belonging to St. Michael. He's bringing some of the stones from the cave, because apparently the stone plays a big role with St. Michael from the cave, and the oil. And these oils, Father Matthew, loads here I can tell you what I wrote, because he's mentioned the Old Testament, and he's mentioned Jacob as well, about the stone over his head, and oil, etc., etc., but you don't need to, I don't need to tell you that as such. All you need to do is come here to